Hi, I'm Richard Baker from truevan.co.uk, and I want to talk to you about this growing phenomenon of electric vehicles. I'm very interested in electric vans in particular. I've sold hundreds of diesel vans, but what's this talk about electric vans? Now, I'm currently sat in a brand new Nissan NV200, which is purely electric, and it's the latest 40 kilowatt battery version, so it's got extended range, and I reckon roughly in the real world it's probably got about 120-130 miles, despite what you may read elsewhere. I think that's probably more realistic talking to some people. Now, I've done some very basic calculations, and based upon the cost per kilowatt hour of electricity have been about 14 pence per unit, and diesel being £1.32 per litre, I reckon roughly that the savings to be had by having an electric vehicle like this on a commercial basis, you're talking probably about 70% or so saving on fuel costs. So that's got to be worth investigating further. Now, this is my very first experience of an electric vehicle, so I want to give you the nitty-gritty of what it's like to experience this sort of vehicle. And could it work for you in your business? Now, perhaps more relevant is to people who are in more congested areas like the City of London, other cities like Leeds, Bath, Oxford, and a few others I'm well aware of are already looking at ways of perhaps introducing a congestion charge or curbing the use of diesels on the grounds of pollution. So, yeah, is this worth looking at? What's all this talk about electric vehicles? And how does it actually work? What's the benefits? Yeah, they are more expensive, but you know, if we're talking about a 70% saving on fuel, then maybe that's worth it. So what I plan to do is do a separate video on a breakdown of the costs, but really what I want to do is talk about, well, what's the first impressions of this vehicle. I'm also going to show in this video pictures of me sat in the back, laying down flat in it as well. I'm 6'2", so maybe this sort of size vehicle could work for you if you don't really fill your bigger van to capacity, and especially if you're in the more congested areas. So without further ado, let's get going and see what it's like. So first of all, I've got the key. It's a key fob you just carry on you, and what you do is put your foot on the foot brake and then you press the on button, and then it does its routine to fire up on the display on the dashboard. Okay, so I'm selected the eco mode, and also I'm going to go into the drive B mode, which is the regenerative braking facility. And so let's get going. Now I've got nearly a full charge, not quite, about 90%. It's showing 144 miles in this B mode. If I put the climate control, I'm in the mid-range Centre model. So it's got climate. This particular van has got the heated seats and also the heated steering wheel. Now these obviously will pull on the batteries, but yeah, let's just see how it goes. So selecting drive in the B mode, eco, handbrake off, and it sure is weird setting off no engine noise, but actually I really like it. It's midsummer and it's a very hot day. I've not turned the aircon, the climate on yet, so I think I'm going to have to do that because it's getting very warm. As you can hear, it's totally silent. So I'm putting the climate on, 16 degrees. It's showing 28 degrees centigrade outside. I'm in the UK. I've found just driving it for a relatively short distance, even in the eco mode, it's still quite, it progresses quite quickly, and you keep up with traffic no problem. If you're a bit like me, remember the old milk floats, you're probably thinking, yeah, but these electric vehicles aren't they slow? Well, actually, no, they're not. They're very much in keeping with modern day traffic. Just going to turn that aircon off a bit for the noise. Totally silent. I'm on the main road now. Yeah, it's very smooth. It's very easy to drive. I can imagine if you're a driver driving a vehicle like this all day, every day, it's going to be very much more relaxing. Of course, it's just like an automatic. You just press the pedal and go. now accelerating uphill. All you can hear is the whir of the motors, and that's about it. It's almost silent. I'm now on a faster road, but it's no slouch, and if you listen now, this is without the climate on, this is the sound you get. You always get a little bit of bounce on a van that's empty, but this one rides extremely well. Now I've just come down a fairly steep hill, and the thing that strikes me about this van, it's got the regenerative braking, so if you take your foot off the accelerator, the motor turns into a generator, and that means is that it's turning the energy of the braking force back into through the motor back into the batteries, so it's minimising the use of the drain on the batteries. So that was quite interesting, because I go down that hill many times, and normally I would press the brakes like coming here to a virtual standstill, hardly touching the brakes. And I've heard it being said by another person on YouTube about their Nissan Leaf, of course, of which this van is based upon. And that lack of having to brake so much, if you're running a commercial vehicle, that's going to count for something, because you're not pressing the brake quite as often. You're not going to be wearing the brakes out as much. So over a distance, quite some miles, that could save quite a bit on maintenance costs. And of course, with electric motor, you are not having to change oil, do as an expensive of servicing costs. So these are costs that you've got to factor in to your benefit. And like I said earlier, if you're driving the vehicle sort of all day, every day, this is going to make a difference, because you're going to be less tired. And of course, a lot of people who drive diesel vans will probably think, well, I'll not pay for the extra for an auto, and I'm not used to that, so they're changing gear all the time, and it's using more energy for you personally. I've just had to pull out of a busy side road, and the 0 to 30 miles an hour without the eco mode on is pretty impressive. Okay, so now I'm going to go onto the motorway. The climate control is on. I've got eco mode off for greater acceleration, and let's follow some other cars, see how it seems to be pretty quick to accelerate, easily keeping up with other vehicles onto the motorway up to the 60 mile an hour limit. Effortless, it's really good. I must say, I'm really enjoying driving this vehicle. It's so quiet and easy to drive. And I like the feeling of the lower fuel charge as well. I'm going to a shopping centre now where there's free charging. Right, just to try it out, I've got 128 miles range left, and I've just pulled up into a shopping centre, Meadowhall in Sheffield, to charge my batteries now. The flap. Open the flap at the front, undo the fast charging point there, cover for it. Look, free to use, no card. Just plug in and charge. So yeah. So rapid charger to the slot. Shows okay. There, it's now in place. There we go. Let's walk round to the charging point. Press any, this is my first time, so any button. Choose your energy. Cadamo. It's plugged in already. Start. So battery is 76%, if you can see there. It's obviously charging now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds energy going in. You can see there kilowatts, so it's 0.078910. walk around to the dashboard because I think that will show it's charging, will it? Yep, so all it's doing is just saying it's plugged in and the batteries are receiving a charge. Yeah, I've just given myself another probably 45 miles of range on there. I was in the shopping centre for an hour, but you know, as you do in nice shopping centres like Meadowhall, get distracted. I could have probably left it for about half an hour and it would have topped up, and all for free at the moment, so you know, can't beat that, can you? Out of curiosity, I just was passing IKEA and I decided to call in and thought, well, I think they do free charging, and sure enough they do with Ecotricity. And as you can see, it comes from the wind and the sun. And reading up, looks like IKEA have teamed up with Ecotricity to do this for the last 5 years. So it goes to show, you know, when you look around without realising there's charging stations right under your nose quite often. Yes, I've just been climbing up and down Dale in the Derbyshire Peak District and done about 20 miles. And with that 20 miles, the battery degradation, the range has gone down by about 37 miles. So that's not bad. The climate control's been on all the time, and obviously climbing up and down hills, keeping with the flow of traffic. Not too bad. Well, I'm just at the start of Winard's Pass in the Derbyshire Peak District, and behind me you can see the hill that we're about to climb. I'm going to test out the battery range now. This is what you see from the top of Winard's Pass, which is in the middle distance there. It's the crevice in the landscape. And then I've parked up the van at the top of that road there in the middle of the picture and walked up to the top of Mam Tor, which you see here. Yeah, I used 9 miles of range going up the hill, and that was with the climber going. And then coming down, I've just got back 7 miles in range just by letting my foot off the brake, hardly need to touch the brake pedal, and so I've got some range back. Really interesting. Yeah. So here's the external view of the van. So I think quite a nice looking van. Just walking around it here. Leather steering wheel, quite pleasant environment. Actually, I can lay down flat in the back of here. I can kneel. Oh. Various charging leads, and another bag there with charging leads in the different plugs. Right, conclusions about the Nissan NV200. Well, having driven it for 150 miles now through a variety of conditions, town and country, uphill, down dale, what I would say is that it's very good. The range is probably somewhere between 120 and about 80 miles, depending on what kind of load you've got. How much does it cost me to do that 150 miles in fuel or electricity? Nothing, because I have sought out public chargers which at the moment are free. So therefore, if you're clever, then you can find public chargers that will give you a rapid charge, get you on your way, top you up, keep you going, and no charge at the moment. And there are rapid chargers hidden that you're not necessarily aware of from the likes of ZapMap or the National Charge Register. So in conclusion, I would say that this vehicle is entertaining to drive. There's no noise, It's fairly quick to accelerate, keeps you ahead of traffic if you need to. Wear and tear is minimal because of the regen braking, so servicing costs should be sort of kept to a minimum. Also, there's no road tax. So I would say realistically, yes, 70% saving on fuel running costs is achievable and well worth considering seriously for your business. And it's been a very enjoyable experience. If I can be of any further assistance, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. And thanks very much for viewing.